Disney is way too scared to make a horror movie, so I'll do it myself. I'm taking two popular kids movie posters and turning them into nightmares. And you'll want to watch this all the way through because the last poster gets genuinely evil. Starting with Toy Story. First thing I did was clean up the poster and remove the unwanted text. Then I cut out Buzz, Woody, and the background logo so everything was on its own layer. This part is always boring, so let's just speed that up. Once that was done, I knew exactly what I wanted. Woody becomes the threat. Man, I'm sorry, dude. So I found a hand holding a pen, removed the pen, and softened the edge between the thumb and the index finger so it wouldn't look so sharp. Then I placed the hand above Buzz because the whole idea is that Woody is about to do something he definitely shouldn't be doing. The problem was, the hand didn't match the lighting at all. It had way too much red in it, so I color corrected it. Now it was time for the knife. I masked out the knife, but there was this glow around it that I didn't want, so I contracted the selection by 5 pixels and that instantly killed the glow. Then I painted the knife into the hand and removed the parts that didn't make sense. But now we had another problem. Woody's original hand was still visible behind Buzz, so I used the clone stamp tool to erase those leftovers, and obviously a floating hand looks stupid. So I grabbed one of Woody's arms, placed it in front of the hand and puppet warped it into position. Then I added shadows to everything so it actually felt like it belonged in the scene. But something still fell off. The perspective of Woody's shirt didn't match the arm at all. The torso was facing forward while it should be more sideways, so I used the clone stamp tool to repaint parts of the shirt until it looked like he was actually turned to the side. Once the body finally made sense, I went for Buzz. Poor Buzz, man, he's getting it today. I added cracks to Buzz Lightyear's helmet because the knife is going through the glass. And to make it darker, but also funnier, I duplicated one eyelid and dropped it down a bit so one eye looks half closed. For the sake of keeping it somewhat friendly, let's just say that he has a lazy eye. To sell it, I added a shadow under the eyelid and even pushed some of the cracked texture over the knife so it felt like the glass was actually breaking around it. Now for the blood. I added blood on Woody, blood dripping from Buzz's head down his face, and blood on the knife. And that contrast, Buzz smiling while the blood is running down his face, was the whole point. After a final camera raw pass to lock the mood in, the poster was done. And that's Toy Story, but horror. And if this was the actual movie, Buzz is not making it past the intro. Like this video if you don't want Woody to pay you a visit. Thank you. Now for the next poster, we move on to Frozen. I started with the first head and laid blood into the snow, but the problem was it looked too flat, so I used perspective to drag the blood trail towards the camera, like the body has been pulled into place. And I took my time here because if the blood doesn't look good, the whole poster collapses. To make it feel even worse, I closed the eyes with the clone stamp tool, which by this point I might as well call the close stamp tool because I've been closing eyes so much lately. Anyways, then I erased parts of the blood so snow could break through it. Same thing on the second head, more blood under the face, blending mode and multiply, and then I started deleting spatters that looked unnatural. I also kept carving snow back into the blood so it had variation. For this one I tried a different approach on the eyes. I selected the eye area, filled it with solid white, and painted in eyelid shadows. Quick note, the blood brushes I'm using for this are free. Link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Now, Olaf needed to be on its own layer, so I cut Olaf out completely and separated him. Then I went to the third head. I added blood again, but this time I warped it into a curve just to avoid repeating the same straight drag lines. Then I closed her eyes with the clone stamp tool because she is not surviving this either. And at this point the poster looked horrific, but it still didn't answer the main question. What caused all of this? So I turned Olaf into the villain. And not just the evil Olaf, I mean Pennywise inspired Olaf. First I selected the top of his head and scaled it up because Pennywise proportions are always slightly wrong in the best way. Of his head anyways. But scaling it created some mistakes, so I painted white behind him to rebuild the shape. Then I extended his right eye. Now, the makeup. I painted purple makeup on his face and set it to multiply. Then I went darker with the purple to add shadows in the lips and face. So it didn't look like face paint, it looked more like something attached to him. I raised the bottom eyelids up towards the middle of the eyes to make him look unhinged, and then I took Pennywise's teeth, dropped them in and made them fit. Then I added a grunge texture to the skin, blood on the bottom lip, and blood spatters across Olaf's face. After that I added blood bloom into the snow and more splatters across the scene. I used perspective again so it felt like it actually landed on the ground plane. But Olaf still needed that final "this is not Olaf anymore" detail, so I added Pennywise style orange eyes. Then I fixed the eyebrows because they were still too happy and I made them more aggressive, and only then I hit it with a camera raw to unify the whole mood. That poster was done. Hold on. You're probably wondering, Why is that guy still alive? Well, look at him. He is wondering the same thing. I guess we'll never know. Anyways, that's Frozen, but horror. Let me know in the comments which poster you thought is more horrific, and if you enjoyed this, you might want to watch this video right here.